Okay, so we've all seen those articles about the secrets to success. Right.
Right.
Like work hard and all that.
Yeah.
But it always feels like something's missing.
Yeah.
Like, what about all those other factors, the
Hmm.
stuff we don't always see?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's what we're diving into today with Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers.
Okay, cool.
You've got the book, so we're taking a deep dive to uncover all those surprising factors
Yeah.
that contribute to success
Mm.
beyond just talent and hard work.
It's interesting because what's so fascinating about Gladwell's approach
Yeah.
is that he goes beyond just focusing on individual effort.
Okay.
He kind of widens the lens to
Yeah.
look at the bigger context surrounding success. Like he connects it
Yeah.
to things like when you were born,
Okay.
your cultural background, even those seemingly insignificant opportunities that come up.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's really about how the environment around us shapes our journey.
He kicks things off with this story of Rosetto, Pennsylvania,
Right.
this town in the U.S. that totally baffled scientists back in the 1960s.
Yeah.
They had way lower rates of heart disease than the national average.
Really?
You'd think it was diet or exercise.
Right. We think so, yeah.
But nope.
Interesting.
Turns out the secret sauce,
What was it?
their incredibly tight-knit community.
Oh, wow.
So Rosetto had this amazing social structure,
Okay.
multi-generational families living close by,
Yeah.
a deep respect for their elders,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed to create this buffer against all the stress of modern life.
Huh. That's really interesting.
It's a powerful real-world example,
Yeah.
showing how our social environment really impacts our well-being.
Yeah. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
About who you surround yourself with.
Right.
How those social circles might be shaping you without you even realizing it.
Totally. And
Yeah.
then just as you're letting that marinate,
Yeah.
Gladwell hits you with this idea
Okay.
of 10,000 hours of practice
Right.
being like the magic number for mastering any skill.
Mm-hmm.
And to illustrate this,
Yeah.
he dives into the world of elite Canadian hockey players.
Okay. Interesting. And what does he say about them?
Well, he found
Yeah.
that a crazy number of these top-tier players
Yeah.
were born in January, February, and March.
Oh, really? I would have thought that was totally random.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not astrology, I promise.
Okay, so what is it then?
It all comes down to cutoff dates
Okay.
for youth hockey leagues.
Oh, interesting. I never would have thought about that.
Yeah, so these leagues often group players by birth year, right?
Right.
So those born in the earlier months of the year
Yeah.
are obviously a little bit older
Right.
and physically more developed
Yeah.
than their teammates born later in the year,
Right.
which gives them an edge because they're often selected for all-star teams.
Oh, I see.
They get more coaching attention
Right.
and more game time.
More practice.
All of that adds up to way more practice time.
Yeah.
Hence the connection to that 10,000-hour rule.
So it's not necessarily about raw talent.
Right.
It's just that these kids were given more opportunities to hone their skills from a younger age.
Yeah, and it snowballed into this massive advantage later on.
And that's what Gladwell calls a cumulative advantage, right?
Exactly.
Highlighting how these small early advantages
Yeah.
can compound over time,
Yeah.
leading to huge differences later on.
And this is a recurring theme throughout the book.
And he gives more examples.
Oh, yeah. He illustrates this with tons of examples from all different fields.
Like what?
Take Bill Joy, for example.
Okay.
The software whiz behind Unix and Java.
Oh, right, yeah.
He was one of the few people with access to a time-sharing computer terminal
Yeah.
in the early days of computing,
Right.
which must have been huge for someone interested in programming.
Oh, absolutely. A total game changer.
Yeah.
That access that most people at the time just didn't have gave him those crucial extra hours of practice
Right.
that helped make him an expert.
And it wasn't just him.
Right.
Gladwell also points to the Beatles,
The Beatles, okay.
who honed their skills
Yeah.
playing those like 8-hour gigs.
Oh, wow. 8-hour gigs.
Yeah, in Hamburg.
Wow.
Racking up an insane amount of stage time
Right.
before they became global superstars.
Right. It wasn't just raw talent that set them apart.
It's like that old saying, right?
What's that?
The more I practice, the luckier I get.
Right. Yeah.
But in this case, it's about being presented with the opportunity to actually put in the practice.
Exactly.
Like Bill Gates just happening to be at Lakeside School in 1968
Yeah.
when they got that time-sharing terminal.
Wow. What are the chances?
I know, right? Just like Bill Joy.
Just like Bill Joy, it's about talent and hard work. Mm-hmm.
But also being in the right place at the right time.
It's that potent combination that Gladwell identifies.
And it's important to remember, he's not saying that talent and hard work don't matter.
Right.
He's just saying that they aren't enough on their own.
Totally.
This opportunity luck, as he calls it,
Yeah.
is a huge factor.
And it's not just these individual cases.
Okay.
Gladwell takes it to a larger scale
All right.
by analyzing the birth years of the 75 richest people in history.
Interesting.
And
And
what he uncovers is pretty fascinating.
what's up?
He finds that a significant number of them were born
Yeah.
in the mid-19th century,
Okay.
a period that just happened to coincide with
Yeah.
this massive transformation of the American economy.
I see.
Think about it being born at a time.
When new industries are popping up,
Right.
technologies are rapidly evolving.
Yeah.
Fortunes are being made left and right.
It's like catching a lucky break,
Exactly.
but on a historical scale.
And this concept of being in the right place at the right time
Yeah.
is further illustrated
Yeah.
through Gladwell's deep dive into the world of elite lawyers.
Elite lawyers.
Specifically, he examines the
Yeah.
rise to prominence
Mm.
of Jewish lawyers
Okay.
in the mid-20th century.
And this is where he talks about demographic luck, right?
That's his hit, yeah.
So what exactly does that mean in this context?
So these lawyers often came from humble beginnings,
Okay.
like children of garment workers, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But they were born during this specific time frame
Yeah.
that allowed them to capitalize on a niche area of law,
Okay.
corporate takeovers.
Oh, interesting.
There was this perfect storm of circumstances
Right.
that enabled their success.
So they may not have had that traditional legal pedigree, but they found success because of this unique set of circumstances.
Exactly. In the 1950s and 60s,
Yeah.
corporate litigation
Mm-hmm.
was viewed as kind of grubby.
Really?
Yeah. And beneath the established legal elite.
Huh.
Established firms wouldn't touch it,
Wow.
which created an opening for these ambitious lawyers
Yeah.
from less prestigious firms
Right.
to step in and thrive.
And these lawyers brought something unique to the table, right?
They did.
That gave them an edge.
Yeah.
Beyond just being in the right place at the right time.
They had this practical intelligence.
Practical intelligence.
Yeah, honed by their upbringing. Imagine growing up,
Yeah.
watching your parents negotiate.
Right.
In the garment industry, for example,
Yeah.
it gives you this sharp sense of how to read people, how to negotiate effectively,
Right.
and just navigate complex situations.
Yeah, totally.
They might not have had the same social pedigree
Yeah.
as their peers from Harvard or Yale,
Right.
but they had something just as valuable, if not more so.
I like that.
Yeah.
Practical intelligence. Yeah,
Yeah.
practical intelligence. It's about knowing how to get things done
Right.
in the real world. Reading those social cues.
Okay.
Knowing how to leverage opportunities.
So it really makes you wonder
Yeah.
if traditional intelligence, like what we measure with IQ tests,
Right.
isn't the only path to success.
Right.
How do we even define intelligence then?
It's a great question, and Gladwell tackles it head on
Okay.
by introducing us to Chris Langan,
Okay.
a man with this off-the-charts IQ.
Yeah.
But despite his incredible intellect, he never really reached his full potential.
Right.
In a traditional sense.
Yeah.
He struggled with things that people from more privileged backgrounds
Right.
often navigate with ease.
It is kind of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
That someone so intelligent
Right.
could have so much trouble with just everyday life.
It does seem counterintuitive, and it highlights a flaw
Okay.
in how we typically measure intelligence.
So what's Gladwell getting at here?
So Gladwell's arguing that this practical intelligence, this ability to navigate social situations,
Okay.
to advocate for yourself,
Yeah.
to seize those opportunities,
Right.
it is just as important, if
Yeah.
not more so,
Yeah.
for success in life.
So it's not just about what you know.
Exactly.
It's about how you navigate the world with what you know.
Exactly. And he cites Robert Sternberg,
Okay.
a psychologist who did this fascinating study
Okay.
where he gave students these unconventional intelligence tests.
Unconventional tests, like what did those look like?
So one test was he asked students
Yeah.
to come up with as many uses as they could
Oh,
for a brick and a blanket.
a brick and a blanket.
Yeah, like a simple brick and a blanket.
Okay.
And what they found was that the students with higher IQs
Yeah.
often gave fewer,
Really?
more conventional answers,
Interesting.
while those with lower IQs,
Yeah.
but more practical intelligence, were way more creative and resourceful.
Wow. So the smarter kids were actually less imaginative.
In a way, yes.
Wow.
Which just goes to show that these traditional intelligence tests,
Yeah.
while valuable, can miss these other crucial dimensions of intelligence that lead to real-world success.
They don't capture that ability to think outside the box.
Exactly.
To adapt, to navigate the complexities of human interaction.
All of which are part of practical intelligence.
Yeah, and it makes you think about those kids in school, right?
Uh-huh.
Who maybe weren't the best test takers.
Yeah.
But they just had this knack for understanding how the world works.
Yeah.
How to get things done.
That's exactly Gladwell's point.
Okay.
We need a wider definition of intelligence, one that includes these practical skills and recognizes that there's no one-size-fits-all equation for success.
And to illustrate this even further, he circles back to the legal world and tells the story of Joe Flom.
Joe Flom, okay.
This legendary New York lawyer who co-founded that powerhouse law firm.
Yeah.
Skadden Arps.
Skadden Arps, right.
And Joe Flom, he wasn't a Harvard Law grad, was he?
He wasn't. No.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
You're catching on, Flom. He didn't have that Ivy League pedigree.
Right.
But he still rose to the top of the legal profession.
Yeah.
And his story is a real testament to this power of practical intelligence working alongside those historical and cultural circumstances.
Oh, if he wasn't honing his legal skills at Harvard, where did he hone them? What shaped his journey?
So Flom's background was anything but privileged.
Okay.
Grew up in the Bronx, son of Jewish immigrants who worked in New York City's garment industry, public schools, City College, and eventually NYU Law School.
Not exactly the traditional path.
Not at all.
To becoming a legal titan.
No, not at all. But this was a time, remember, when NYU Law wasn't seen as the prestigious institution it is today.
And this is where that opportunity luck comes into play again.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Flom came of age during this boom in corporate litigation.
Right, which at the time was still considered beneath the established legal elite.
Right, seen as grubby even.
And just like those Jewish lawyers you talked about earlier.
Exactly.
Flom saw an opening that others had overlooked.
Precisely, and that seemingly less prestigious field became his launchpad to success.
So it was a combination of timing.
Yes.
And having the skills to excel in that arena.
He had that knack for it.
Yeah.
Remember those years he spent watching his parents navigate the garment industry?
Right. It's that practical intelligence.
It is. He learned to read people, negotiate, fight for what he believed in.
Right.
And he brought that tenacity to the world of law.
So he combined that practical intelligence with the opportunities that presented themselves.
Exactly.
At that specific moment in history.
It all came together.
It really shows how our backgrounds and experiences shape where we end up.
Absolutely. And Gladwell doesn't stop there.
Okay.
He digs even deeper into how cultural legacies, those often invisible threads to our past, can really impact our behavior, even our chances of success.
And he uses a pretty sobering example to do this.
He does.
The string of plane crashes that Korean Air experienced in the 1990s.
That's right.
And that was related to how their cultural norms impacted communication in the cockpit, right?
It all comes down to Korea's high-powered distance culture.
Okay.
Which emphasizes deference to authority.
So co-pilots, even if they saw a problem, they were hesitant to challenge the captain.
Right, because of that deep cultural norm.
So they might know something's wrong, but they don't feel like they can speak up because of that ingrained respect for hierarchy.
It's a powerful example of how these cultural legacies often operate below the surface and have a huge influence.
And it seems tough to overcome something so ingrained.
It is, and it's important to note here that Gladwell isn't criticizing Korean culture.
Right.
He's just showing how these unseen forces can have unintended consequences.
And the encouraging part of this story is that Korean Air didn't just ignore the problem.
Yeah, what did they do?
They tackled it head on.
How?
They made a pretty big change.
Okay.
They implemented English as the official language of the cockpit.
Wow, that's a big change.
Yeah, and it might seem drastic, but it actually leveled the playing field in terms of communication.
How so?
Because it removed those subtle power dynamics that were inherent in the Korean language within that cultural context. And it encouraged more direct and open communication between pilots and co-pilots.
Wow. So they recognized the issue?
They did.
They acknowledged it? And they found a way to adapt.
It's incredible. It's a really powerful example.
It is.
Of how once we understand these cultural legacies, we can adapt our behavior to improve outcomes, even in high-stakes environments like that.
I like that. Recognizing the influence and then adapting.
It's like our cultural backgrounds could be our greatest strengths.
Totally.
But also unknowingly a hurdle to overcome.
You got it. And to bring it full circle, Gladwell ends the book on this personal note by sharing a story about his own mother.
Oh, yeah, I love that part.
Yeah.
It's like all those threads he'd been weaving together suddenly formed this beautiful tapestry.
It all came together.
Yeah. And her story really highlights how our personal experiences are shaped by these larger forces.
Right.
Opportunity, cultural legacy, and even that unpredictable nature of success itself.
Totally.
It really is amazing how he connects her journey to all those themes. Right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really well done.
But, you know, of all the examples and outliers, the one that really got me was the part about summer vacation.
Summer vacation.
Yeah, I know. It seems so normal, right?
Right. Yeah.
But I never really thought about it as this factor in success before.
It's funny how these little things
I know, right?
Can have such a big impact.
And that's what Gladwell does so well.
Yeah. What's he say about summer vacation?
He talks about this research by sociologist Carl Alexander, who tracked the academic progress of hundreds of first graders in Baltimore. And what he found really challenges a lot of our assumptions about education.
Really? How so?
So the study found that lower income students were actually doing better than their wealthier peers.
Really?
During the school year.
That's so interesting.
I know. It's surprising, Frey.
Yeah, it really goes against what a lot of people think.
Totally. It debunks that assumption that lower income students are just naturally less capable.
Right.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
Alexander found that those same students experienced a significant dip in their progress during the summer. While their wealthier peers actually kept learning and growing.
So it wasn't school itself that was holding them back.
Exactly.
It was what happened outside of school.
It was all about what happened when school wasn't in session.
And when you think about it, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Kids from affluent families, they're going to summer camps.
Right.
Visiting museums, going on educational trips, all sorts of intellectually stimulating stuff, while their lower income peers often just don't have access to those opportunities.
So it creates this summer setback.
Right, exactly.
Like Gladwell calls it.
Which just widens the achievement gap more and more each year.
It's like this hidden disadvantage that just keeps building up over time.
Totally, like an invisible barrier.
And this is where Gladwell brings up those KPP schools.
KPP schools, okay.
Those charter schools known for their longer school days.
Yeah.
And summer classes.
Right. They really honed in on that summer setback.
They tackled it head on.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they took that whole concept of those high-achieving Asian cultures that really value diligence and persistence and applied it to the American education system.
That's a really interesting connection because Gladwell talks about how those cultural patterns in Asia go all the way back to their agricultural roots.
Right, the rice paddies.
Exactly. Those rice paddies required so much attention and effort.
Constant work.
Yeah, and he argues that historical context shaped their whole approach to education.
And that's what KPP schools tapped into.
Right. They're recognizing that consistent, dedicated effort is key.
Exactly.
By giving kids more time and opportunities to learn, they've seen a lot of success.
It really makes you think.
It does.
If maybe those long summer breaks we're used to aren't actually doing us any favors.
It's a good question.
Right.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
And that's the beauty of Gladwell's work.
What is it?
He makes us question these assumptions that we didn't even know we had.
He connects those dots between all these different ideas.
Like summer vacation and rice paddies.
It's amazing.
And corporate law firms to show us these patterns of success.
It all comes together.
So if we take a step back and look at Outliers as a whole. What's the big takeaway?
What's that core message Gladwell wants to leave us with?
What do we really learn from all these examples?
I think he really wants us to see that incredible success. Those outliers he talks about, they're not just about talent and hard work.
Okay.
It's way more complex than that.
Okay.
It's this mix of things.
Yep.
Opportunity, cultural background, hidden advantages, even just historical circumstance.
And all those things are often working outside our awareness.
Exactly. We're all shaped by these forces.
So we don't achieve success on our own.
Not at all. It's a product of our environment, our history, the breaks we get, and those cultural legacies we carry with us.
And understanding that it shouldn't discourage us.
Right.
If anything, it should empower us.
How so?
It encourages us to be more aware of our own privilege.
Okay.
Those unseen advantages that helped us get where we are.
To create more opportunities for others.
Exactly. It's a call to action.
Yeah.
To level that playing field.
It's about paying it forward.
Exactly. And that message, it's bigger than just this book.
It is.
It's about having empathy.
Yeah.
And recognizing all those unseen forces that are shaping our lives and the lives of everyone around us.
I love that idea.
It's about creating a world where everyone can reach their full potential.
Where success is about potential, not just luck.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive on Outliers.
I feel like we've all learned a lot.
We've gone deep.
We have.
Into all these hidden dimensions of success.
It's been fascinating.
And hopefully it sparked some new ideas.
Yeah.
And maybe even challenged some of your assumptions about success.
So until next time.
Yeah.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the world around you.
See you next time.